What I'm afraid of is it's not as scary for a guy like me or a guy like your husband to go get fucked up at a party.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
But to be a female in that same situation, the shit that can happen to you scares the fuck out of me because I lived in those parties.
That that happens all the time. And I feel like we have to take responsibility for the states that we get ourselves into.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Oberembt, and you're listening to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We talk about real shit, what's on our minds, and don't give a fuck if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for some real shit.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I am your host, Eric Oberembt. We're here today with our first virtual podcast. This is exciting and disappointing all at the same time. But I'm really excited because I really wanted to have this guest here today. And so Kirsten Mark, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you.
I am so excited to be here virtually, and I do apologize that it's the first virtual, but I promise it will be worth it. It's
okay. It's okay. Oh, before I get this out of the way, we don't have any sponsors here. I pay for fucking everything. So what we do is we go, Zyn, for all your nicotine needs. And we put these little clips together and we're going to start sending them to Zyn to see if I can get Zyn to sponsor me. So, delicious flavors, everybody. Fucking citrus and cinnamon. They're wonderful. There's no tobacco. It's just nicotine. And I think it's actually good for you. So Zyn, for all your nicotine needs. All right. So Kirsten, you are here in Houston for like a month, right?
We're here for actually only about a couple weeks. You here for a total of a month because my husband's competing. So we're just like posted up and he's getting ready to do his show and I'm just working my butt off.
Love that. Do you compete?
Absolutely not. Never would. Not in a million years. Couldn't pay me enough. Nope.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I love the gym. Love the gym. It is like I have a great routine. I'm in great shape. Would rather punch myself in the face than compete. Nope.
Yeah. Fair. Is it a fitness competition he's competing in or a bodybuilding competition?
So bodybuilding, essentially, like fitness. He's in the men's physique category.
Okay. So it's not like a CrossFit competition. It's not like...
No.
Okay.
It's like beach body, stage presence, very muscular. Who's got the best like overall package? Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. Very cool. So, well, let's dig into you a little bit. What I want to know is, so I'll be honest, I'm going to tell the story that I just told. So I didn't know who the fuck you were 2 months ago, right? No idea. And I had a friend, and I'll just call him out here because he's going to watch this and listen to this. So Reggie Brock, who is one of my very close friends, love this man, grew up in a pastor's home. He's probably like the nicest gentleman that I've ever met in my life, and like most subdued and like just best dude I've ever met. And he randomly sends me a TikTok video because he must have like learned how to do TikTok that day. Like it was a big thing. He just learned how to do voice memos on his phone, like, and sent me one. Yeah. It was like, I did it. Like he was very excited. But so he sends me this clip of you, and I'm going to go ahead and share it. So Lexi, when you do editing here, hopefully this doesn't fuck everything up, but I'm going to share this clip of how I was introduced to you and how happy it made me. Oh, really? That's not what we want. We're not trying to fucking get into my goddamn, we're not trying to get into my, there we go.
Boom.
Here we go, everybody.
I love when people tell me to stop swearing. Number one, fuck you. Number two, how weird would it be for me to tell you to start swearing more? It would be pretty fucking weird, so stop being a weirdo. And lastly, fuck.
I love that so much. And I live with this daily. I live with this daily, and that was why I was so attracted to that video. What inspired you to do that?
How often I get asked to stop swearing less. And even sometimes it comes in a polite way where someone's like, I really like your content, but like it would hit a lot harder. Like if you just stop swearing less. And I'm like, it wouldn't hit a lot harder if I stopped swearing less, because then my authentic expression wouldn't be there. It would be a filtered version of me. So I was like, will never, ever, ever conform to what you want me to be. And so I made a video that was so fucking obnoxious that I knew people were going to be like, fuck you, or either be like, I fucking love her.
Yeah. Well, and the fact of that comment, that whatever, that person said, it wouldn't hit harder. It would just make it easier for them. Right.
Digest.
And like, and our fucking job is not to make things easier for other people. Right. It's to show up as exactly who the fuck we are. That's the point of this whole goddamn show, is to show up exactly who we are. And then the people that are attracted to that will stay with us and get something of what we're trying to put out into the world. And if they don't, and they're not attracted to that, then go fucking listen to something else.
Dude, I'm sure there's someone out there that like doesn't use the F word that you can vibe with, and like, be my guest, go find them. Like, I don't need you here. Not to sound like an asshole, but I don't need you here. Like, it's not like, oh, I lost a follower. Like, I don't care.
I don't care. And I definitely don't care because it was you.
Yeah.
I didn't want you as a fucking follower anyway, you weirdo.
I don't want anyone that is going to try and change the way that I speak. Like, that's not why I started my social media. It's actually the opposite. So politely, no. And the video obviously wasn't like respectfully, no. It was like, fuck you, no. But I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. But I thought that the flip side of it was genius, though, because I've said this a million times to friends of mine. I'm like, I wouldn't tell somebody to start doing something. Right? Like, I wouldn't tell somebody that they need to do something to make me feel more comfortable in a conversation with them. Like, I don't feel very comfortable that you've never done cocaine, because I don't know if we can really relate here, because you didn't have a drug problem, for a decade or whatever. So could you go do some coke so that we could have a conversation? Or could you start saying fuck a little bit more? Because I don't trust anybody that like doesn't say anything naughty, right? Like, I would never do that, because if that's authentic to who you are, then fucking own it. Then own it. Then own it and be okay with it. It drives me absolutely fucking nuts. So to your statement before, you said, when I started this social media journey, right? So why did you? I
have always wanted to be famous, and I think that I always felt so much shame around saying that, because people are just like, oh, that's your ego, or that's this. But for me, the really cool thing now is that I'm building on social media, and I'm also impacting a lot of people. So it's like the best of both worlds. So the reason why I started social media in the first place was it was just the thing. People were doing it, getting Instagram, getting Facebook. When I started taking it actually seriously, like, I want to grow on social media, is when I started my online business. And when you run an online business, you attract clients online. So I'm like, I really need to figure this social media stuff out if I want to be successful in the online space.
That's interesting. I've never had somebody actually tell me I got into social media because I really wanted to be famous. I love that.
Dude, straight up.
I love the sincerity behind it and authenticity behind it, because like, nobody ever says that. It's usually like, oh, I wanted to help people and I wanted to blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, fuck it. I wanted to be famous. All right, cool.
Dude, for so long, like I couldn't help myself. So physically, how could I possibly want to help other people when I wasn't helping myself? So from a young age, I wanted to be like this actress on Hollywood. And the cool thing now is that like, I help thousands and thousands of people, but my initial reason for starting social media was never because I wanted to impact. It was because I wanted to get likes, and I went down the road of like obsessed with my content, and it shit the bed every time. Now that I'm like, I don't give a fuck what happens. All I'm doing is showing up as me. And the cool thing is that the moment I stopped focusing on the likes and the views was the moment that the likes and the views just started pouring in.
I have to imagine that the transition to that to realizing how many people you are helping now, though, makes it that much more rewarding.
It wouldn't be fulfilling to me if I just had a bunch of people following for whatever reason. Like what I do now is I'm an online fitness coach and I have 1,600 female fitness clients in my community. And the way that I am able to impact and change people's lives so that they feel like they can be the most authentic version of themselves is like one of the most rewarding, fulfilling things. But I'm at a place where I've helped myself. Like I've worked through self-limiting beliefs. I've built confidence. I've worked through past traumas. I've worked through all those things. So I actually feel capable to help. I think a lot of people will say that they want to help because it's the applauded thing to say, oh, you're so sweet. But it's like, if you're not in a place where you've helped yourself, then how are you supposed to help anybody else?
Correct. Yes. So you have 1,600 clients online. So tell me about, I want to go back to another question, but I want to dig into this a little bit because I want to understand your business too, so other people can understand it. So, okay, you do online fitness coaching, and I have somebody that I do this with as well. But how the fuck do you do it with that many people?
So this is actually a really cool story, and I'll try and condense it because it's obviously a long one. I had my daughter when I was 16 years old. And when you hire an online fitness coach, typically it can be anywhere from like maybe $400 to sometimes $1,000 a month. And when I first started my online business, coming from someone who really had a big challenge when it came to money and struggled with like body dysmorphia, struggled with my body image after having my daughter, it was really hard for me to get on phone calls with girls that quite literally didn't have the money to invest in me. So this one day I had this idea that I was going to create this group coaching community. And basically it was going to be a space that any female could afford. And I was going to run live classes and I was going to do different trainings, but it's not a one-on-one coaching program with me. It's a group coaching program. So the model that I have is a group coaching model. So I'll do live classes. I'll do nutrition trainings. I have like a little nutrition book laid out for the girls to get more information on like what foods would help them fuel their body, what foods would help them actually support their goals. But it's not one-on-one coaching. I obviously do that now. And that like I have like 15 to 16 clients. There's no way you could do that. So the 1,600 ladies they're part of my group coaching community that's called the Women Who Win, and we aim to help women win in all areas of life. So health, wealth, relationships, and self.
And so that started because of some shit that you went through, obviously, right? And that you got through. So I obviously went through and watched, some of your stuff, and you obviously went from, this Kirsten to this Kirsten now. So tell me a little bit about that journey and like what that was like mentally as well, not just physically.
Yeah. So like having my daughter at 16 and being like a child myself and trying to raise a child, I made so many mistakes, and bless her because she is the most badass 15-year-old that you will literally ever.
What's her name?
Her name is Haley, and she is one of my favorite humans in the entire world. She's like my best friend and my daughter all packed into one. We gym together, we shop together, we dance in the car together. But we went through so much together. Like there was a point I remember my mom called me and was like, do you need me to like take Haley? Are you going to be able to do this on your own? It was really, really, really challenging for me.
Because you were all on your own.
Her dad and I really tried to make things work. So we were together for like, I think it was over 10 years. But we drifted apart. We weren't even together when I found out I was pregnant. I don't think it's so long ago. But we tried to make it work so much, but we just kept drifting and drifting and drifting. I actually ended up being unfaithful in that relationship because the fear of being alone was so scary to me. It was so terrifying. But I kind of like opened up about where I was at, and I ended things with him. And then, it was me and Haley, and then he would take her from time to time. But now Haley's with us, like with me and my partner now full time. But that's like that journey of having my daughter at 16, struggling with body image, struggling with, I can't be alone. I don't want to do this by myself. How am I going to do this by myself? Is anyone going to love me again? So many insecurities and like not feeling good in my own skin, turning to alcohol because I felt like that was what people did when they wanted to solve their problems. It's like, let's not actually solve this problem. Let's just drink ourselves until we forget that they even exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that story. I totally relate to that. So I was, when I went to rehab, when I got sober, I was actually, and I was an athlete like my whole life, right? Like I played football, I played baseball, I was an athlete. But then when I started, I always drank, but when I started really fucking drinking and doing drugs, right before I went to rehab, I was 310 pounds. And I mean, I was a big fat fucking human. And I had a big, like my face was like just fucking bloated and gross and like whatever. So like, but I mean, like I'm a big dude, like I'm 6'2", whatever. Like I can carry the weight, but like I fucking looked gross. And so I went to rehab and then I made a decision that I wanted to change something, right? And I ended up losing almost 100 pounds and I got down to like 220, 225. But I still had the body image issues as well because I lost all the weight, but then I had all this fucking fat, loose skin everywhere on my stomach and I had tits and you know what I mean? Like it was gross. I was still the guy that would sit on the couch with a fucking pillow, you know, that guy. Right? Yeah. And I could only wear certain shirts because like I'd hunch like that with my shoulders and everything. My goal was one day to be able to feel comfortable wearing t-shirts and wife beaters. I don't know why, but I always was like jealous of guys that could wear the white tank top wife beater shirts. And I was like, I want to be able to wear one of those one day. So anyway, I lost all the weight and I kept it off for like 3 or 4 years. And I was like, I went to a doctor and I was like, hey, what else can I do? I'm like, I'm eating clean. I work out every day. Like, what else can I do? And he's like, you can't do anything. He's like, you have to, if you want to get rid of it, you have to have surgery. And I ended up going in and having like 8 pounds of flesh cut off of my body. Yeah, I had my tits cut off. I had my fucking stomach cut off. I had my flanks cut off. I had like part of my back cut off. It was the most excruciating pain that I've ever been in my life. And I couldn't leave my house for like 6 weeks because of it, right? I'm also a recovering addict and I'm like having to take painkillers as well. So like I have to like have somebody watching me with like how many painkillers I take a day and you know, whatever. And it was awful. Fast forward though, I start to feel better. I can start working out again. I can start, you know, doing all the stuff that I want to do. Fast forward maybe a year and that body image issue that I had, when it started to go away, everything in my life changed. I walked around with my shoulders back. I walk into fucking rooms like I own the goddamn joint. I give 0 fucks what anybody fucking says about anything. And I only care, I care about what's right. And I don't kowtow down to anybody. Like the confidence level that can be given to a person when they overcome something like that. And that's why I wanted to bring it up because obviously you did the same fucking thing, right? Because I've seen the clips of you talking about laying in a fucking bathroom, puking from, you know, drinking and being a fucking problem, right? And when that goes away, that level of confidence that you gain completely changes your fucking life.
Yeah, first of all, that's such a cool story. I just like success stories, right? I also think what it brought up for me is just the permission to like do what you want with your body. I feel like so many people would probably look at you and be like, you should just love your body the way that it is. And it's extremely frustrating because I totally respect people. It's the same thing with the swearing. It's like, I totally respect people. My mom's like, I'm aging gracefully. I'm like, that's so good for you, Mom. I'm going to get Botox and do these things, but mad respect to you, right? Like mad respect to you. So it's just like, those small things can help you just really like look at yourself differently. And ultimately, anything that's going to help you show up more confidently is not just a blessing for you, the person who's doing the showing up more confidently. It's a blessing for all the people that you're going to meet to come, because they get a version of you that's actually you, not a version that's sitting on the couch, hiding the rolls, hiding the man tits, hiding all these things, right? They get the actual, true, authentic version of you. And I think that's something that the whole world deserves, period.
Yeah, you don't have to hide.
No.
Right? You don't have to hide anymore. And like, you're the ones, everybody listening and watching, right? Like, you're the ones that have to live inside of this fucking space every day. You're the ones that have to live up here and deal with what's going on, whether it's anxiety or depression or fucking alcoholism or drug abuse, whatever it is that you're using to mask all these awful feelings that you may or may not be having about yourself. You're the ones that have to live with this shit, right? You don't have to live with their shit. They have to live with it. So like, whatever you have to do to feel better about that, you should unapologetically fucking do it.
I agree. I think so much, and this is such an unpopular opinion, and I say it anyways. I think so much anxiety and depression nowadays, like, you go like knock on 10 houses down the street, 9 out of 10 people are going to say, yeah, like, I'm anxious. Yeah, I'm depressed. And I think a lot of anxiety and depression can stem from not feeling comfortable in being yourself, feeling judged. So instead of processing emotions and instead of showing up as you actually are, you put on a mask, and that's telling yourself that you're not good enough. You're not good enough the way that you feel like you should show up. And that's going to cause a lot of anxiety. If you feel like the person that you are isn't accepted by society, by family, by friends, which to me, family and friends will just accept you as you are, period, point blank, no buts. That is going to cause a lot of chaos in your own mind, right? So it's like finding those people where you can actually show up, no mask, as yourself. And they're like, you're my fucking person. And they don't judge you. They love you. They want to support you. I feel like there's so much magic in those types of relationships.
And you're going to find that those are also the people that judge the hardest.
Oh,
right?
My God. That's, yeah.
That's the fucking Karen, you know what I mean, that you're going to run into. That's like, well, why are you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't do that. Fuck you, bitch. Like, you know, like that's what drives me crazy, because it's always, those are the ones that are sitting on their fucking pedestal and their high horse trying to look down and judge what it is that you're doing with your life and how you're doing it. And it's like, why aren't you worrying about you? Why aren't you worrying about what you're doing?
Like, a pedestal is a cool thing to sit on. I feel like those people are sitting in their own hell, because if someone's a Karen and they're fucking literally judging everything that you say and everything that you do, and you should do this, it's because they're so utterly unhappy that they cannot watch someone be happier than where they're at. So they try to pull you back down. And those people, you'd be so surprised. They could be the people that are telling you to do something. They're saying this is what's best for you, but ultimately it's not what's best for you. It's what's best for the version that they want you to be.
And why? Right? Why are they so fucking concerned about it? Because they have nothing to do in their world. Right? They have nothing going on of substance in their world. They have nothing that they're shooting for. They have no goals. They have no, Jesus Christ, I'm bleeding. They have no goals. They have no, I don't know why. Like, I'm fucking bleeding like an asshole.
Just so passionate that you're bleeding.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like fucking ripping my skin off. Yeah. But they have nothing that they care about enough, so that they have to focus on other people and how they think that they're doing something that doesn't align with their morality. Right? Because I get into a lot of I don't want to say arguments, but
debates,
we'll say, right? Because like, so I'm sober, I'm in AA, AA saved my life. And so a large part of AA revolves around quote unquote God, right? And revolves around the higher power, right? And so people look at me and then they automatically think, because I'm in AA, that I'm religious. So, which I'm not. And I have a huge fucking problem with organized religion in general, right? But I don't have a problem with like believing in something bigger than myself, right? And so I get into these really weird groups of people that I respect and have conversations with them, and they have a really hard time understanding my life, right? And they're like, well, how do you do that? But then do this. And it's like, well, I just fucking do, right? Do you run into that?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think a lot of people, because I could easily say that my way of life is the right way to live life because I'm living a life that I feel good in. But I would never do that because I understand that the life that I'm living is so uniquely crafted for myself. So if you have a perspective or a religion or do whatever it is, and it's serving you, you're not a Karen, you're actually genuinely happy, you're showing up to each and every day, you be you. But I feel like a lot of those people are so resistant to their way of life that they can't see other ways of living, which to me makes absolutely no sense. For us to say that every single person in the world should be a Christian or every single person in the world should be this, that's just not a fair statement to make, right? So like for me, I love all human beings if they are loving themselves and they are happy. But I think a lot of people are living life with a perspective or some sort of like label that they're not actually happy. They're not actually happy. And if you're actually happy, you're not going to try and force someone. Like I've been that person. Because like, and like, I feel like a lot of the time I talk to people and I'm like, oh my God, I know the total roadmap to like success. But again, it's like a lot of people just got to go through the shit that they're going to go through. And can I coach you for a second? Can I give you some advice? Can I do this for you? If they say no, then ultimately it's like, have fun figuring it out, right? Like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So tell me about, because I bring this up a lot, obviously, because of my journey, but tell me about your journey with booze, because obviously you've got a story with it, and I'd love to hear it. And I know that my listeners would like to hear it.
Yeah. So I had a problem with alcohol from the first night that I drank it. I don't know if it was the very first night, but one of the first times I ever drank, I chugged.
How old were you?
I was about 14 or 15, maybe even younger, about 14 years old. I chugged a Mickey at a bush party and I ended up going to the hospital.
At a bush party?
A bush party. Yeah, they have those out in Canada. A party in the bush. You like hike up a mountain. So not only was I the most drunk that I had ever been, I chugged an entire Mickey because that was me, right? Like how I say I wanted to be famous. What do famous people want a lot of the time? Like it's the center of attention, right? And I think a better word than famous would actually be center of attention for all the wrong reasons. So I chugged this Mickey back in like under 10 seconds. And it was one of the first times I drank. And I don't remember anything except like I was like choking on my own vomit. I was getting carried down in a stretcher that my friends had made out of wood. And I got thrown in an ambulance and I woke up and I was tied to a hospital bed with my mom, just like so furious and so disappointed with me. And that was like the start of that was not the end. I'll just say that.
How bad did it get?
I mean, I got to a place where every single time I drank, the intention was to black out. There is so many nights that I got myself into so many dangerous situations where I woke up and like I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how I'd got there. I didn't know what had happened. You could tell me this, like I would get messages and be like, oh my God, are you serious? And at the age I was, it was almost like you just chalk it up to like, oh, this was just a good time. But to me, it's like a good time is like you remember those times. And it was to the point where like I remember I'd be driving to work and I would be like, I would have like a bottle of wine in my car. And again, like never associated myself with like, oh, I'm an alcoholic or anything. Because I was 20, 21, 22, 23. We're just having fun. But getting to like a little bit later in my 20s and still being that person that got absolutely annihilated, did things and said things that she didn't mean. I just got to a place where I was like, man, if I look back at my life and I think about anything that I highly regret, like alcohol played a big part in that, because I would just overdo it and I would not work through my problems. I would, instead of working through my problems, I'd be like, I'm just going to forget my problems. They don't exist. Let's go to the bar. Let's take some shots. Let's.
Yeah, I know that when I got sober, are you sober now, or just don't drink, or
So
what's your?
I never ever will. I will never ever lie. I will have a glass of wine from time to time. Yeah. So I am from the Okanagan, and I love wine, but I'm in Texas, and it's not. I'm not drinking. I'm not like I just don't crave it anymore. I have no fucking shots. No like. Yeah. I do not struggle for 1 second when it comes to alcohol since January 1st of this year, which is so recent, because for the first time, January 1st of this year, I got to a place, because for 3 years I was like, I'm good, and I would have 3 to 4 drinks or 5 to 6 drinks, but that's a slippery slope. Like I can have a drink. If I'm like, oh, I'll have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, it's a fucking slippery slope. January 1st, we had a party at our house, and I don't know what the fuck happened, but I ended up getting like alcohol poured down my throat. I got so ill, it actually felt like a demon was leaving my body for 7 days. Like I was physically so sick, and something clicked more than it had ever clicked before. And from that point on, I was like, I refuse to be that person. I refuse to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And I did 3 months completely sober, went to the Dominican, had the first trip in my entire life where I did not drink every day. And then from there, I was like, I don't need alcohol to have fun. I can dance on tables and be loud and be myself without alcohol. If more so without alcohol, because alcohol isn't who I am, and alcohol is not a way that like I can have fun, because all the times that I overdid it on alcohol were some of the worst nights of my entire life.
Right. I did a podcast yesterday. I was a guest on somebody else's show yesterday, and we were talking about that. And my answer was, because like, I'm not here to tell people to drink, not drink. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody does. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I just know that I can't, because if I do, like, I go to fucking jail. And, like bad things fucking happen. If I do. Right. But the question that people need to ask themselves is there drinking or drug use or whatever it is, how is it serving you?
Yes, I say this to my fucking clients. I literally talked about this on the plane, and like it's so challenging for me, because like I would associate like plane rides and trips with, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have a drink. So I'm not saying that how I am right now that I don't like still get those temptations, but I have a thought process that stops me from making the choice that I'm going to regret. We're on the flight here, and I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll have a glass of wine. And then I thought about like, I'm like, okay, so what are your goals right now, Kirsten? Right. What are you doing after this plane ride? And we're going to the gym. I'm like, having a glass of wine does not align. Not even one single glass. That does not align. So the answer is no. So I'm always asking myself, does this align? Does this align? Yeah. And with a lot of my clients that I work with, I'm like, if the answer is no, then it's no. It's a no. Even if in that moment you want to say yes, because old temptations come back. You're like, oh, it's not going to be too bad. It's not, I will not. Shots are like, I'm going to get no shots tattooed to my body. Like, period. I'm going to get a I will. I have the most random tattoos. Like, it will get done. Like it just like, it's not aligned. Why? What is that going to do for me?
It doesn't serve you, especially if you're doing healthy things, right? Like you said, you're going to the gym after you get off the plane. If I fucking was going to the gym after I got off a fucking plane and I had one drink, I fly first class most of the time just because like I decided that I deserve that. And so like everybody looks at me.
Same with us.
Yeah. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy, because like every time a little lady comes by, I'm like, I'll have that grapefruit sparkling water that you have. And they're like, fuck's wrong?
Why not get the free champagne?
I'm like, dude, if I want to drink, I'll go fucking buy it. Like, I'm good. I don't need your $4 fucking little bottle of vodka in the deal, right?
And
like
that's where it starts. That's where it starts. Like, well, that's another thing. It's like all inclusive. Like, that's just not a play. I think it's like that's where it starts. So me and my husband are really good at like making sure we don't put ourselves in environments that don't support our success. Every environment, like we don't go to nightclubs, because my husband, I don't know if you knew this, but he had a cocaine addiction for years.
Oh, yes. I want to talk to him.
I know. I know. Yeah. You're like, hey, one of my people.
Yay,
but he can't go to a nightclub, not because he's like still a cocaine addict, but because it's just not a place where there's temptations everywhere, right? So we don't put ourselves in those environments. And if we are, we're sober. We're going sober because it's like we aren't going to risk it for the biscuit. And like, what biscuit in the first place, right? It's like, I'm not worth it.
Well, I don't ever go to all inclusives anymore because the only reason to go to all inclusives is to drink every fucking day. Like,
and there's just so many hammered people. And I'm sorry, the easiest way to get sober is to go to a fucking nightclub sober and watch. Like I see girls and I see me in them and I'm just like, they're stumbling and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I want to take this girl and bring her home because I've been that girl where guys have taken advantage of me. And like, I'm the type of person, and I don't even think I've talked about this on social media before because I feel like, I don't know why I haven't, but I take full responsibility for the situations where I got taken advantage of because I drank the fucking booze. I got myself to a place where I wasn't able to say no, where I wasn't able to say this isn't right. So it's like, I have to accept a certain amount of responsibility because that wouldn't have happened if you didn't decide to chug an entire fucking 2-6 before walking into a bar. Right? So it's like, and that's the thing that scares me, right? Because I have a daughter and she's 8. Right. So like right now she's still sweet and she loves me. But one day she's not going to be sweet and she's not going to love me for a little while. And she's going to do everything that she can to fucking make me angry. But like, just wait. Pause for a second. I had the same mindset as you. I was like, my daughter's going to go through this phase. And I was almost like anticipating our disconnect. And I just want to offer you like a little even shred of hope with a strong leader as a parent and just like leading authentically. Like my daughter is 15. There is drugs, there is drinking, there is so much shit around. This 15-year-old girl is at the gym every single morning at 4 a.m. PST. She does not drink. If she did, she would tell me. We literally tell each other everything. And I feel like I almost anticipated myself at that age. So maybe, and I'm not to say that you're not going to go through some shit, but maybe, just maybe with your leadership and you being open about what alcohol has done to you, what cocaine has done to you, just sharing your experience that it might be different. Maybe. She knows daddy went to jail. So like, I mean, like, I've already talked to her about that. She's like, Daddy, why'd you go to jail? And I'm like, you see that mommy drink right there? It's like, that's why, because my wife still has a drink, like, you know, whatever, like I don't give a shit. And I'm like, see that? Which I love. I think that's really important. You can't like put your story on someone else. So I love that. No. Now, if she gets a little fucking out of hand, I'm like, go fucking stay at somebody else's house because I don't want to deal with that bullshit. Like, I didn't get sober to deal with a fucking drunk, but like, I'm the same way. Yeah. I cannot stand sloppy drunk is a no. It's the same with Brian. I'm like, he doesn't get that way, but anyway, it would be the same. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell people I fucking hated drunks when I was a drunk. Like when I was at the bar, I hated everybody that was sloppy drunk. And even though I was able to like deal with it differently because I was so fucked up, but I still was like, look at that fucking guy, you know, like making fun of him. But what I was going to say, the thing that I'm really afraid of is because what you said is true. Right. And my wife and I are both being very intentional about that. Like my daughter started going to the CrossFit gym at 3. Right. And started doing fucking pull-ups when she was 4.5. Right. And like, so she's like super active. I've got her, she plays golf with me. My wife played soccer in college. So like now Tegan's playing soccer and like, she's very athletic and everything. And we're teaching her those things so she can be strong. And, you know, like, we're teaching her to say fuck you to people if they, you know, because she was bullied like in kindergarten a little bit. And I was like, honey, if somebody fucking came up to me in this situation that happened to you, what would daddy do? Well, I can't say what daddy would do. I'm like, okay, well, daddy would say, go fuck yourself, wouldn't he? And she's like, yeah, that's what daddy would do. I'm like, then that's what you're going to do. You're not going to let anybody fucking push you around. You're not going to let anybody tell you what the fuck to do. You're going to do the right thing and then you're going to walk the fuck away. And so I do agree with you. I do have hope in that. What I'm afraid of is it's not as scary for a guy like me or a guy like your husband to go get fucked up at a party. Nope. Right? Nope. But to be a female in that same situation
the shit that can happen to you scares the fuck out of me because I lived in those parties.
It is, and that is something I need to start talking about more because, like,
yes,
I remember
I can't because I'm a dude.
And it's so terrifying. And I think, like, but a lot of us will play victims in a story that we helped create, right? Like I think it's hard for me to talk about because I think people would almost give me a lot of sympathy and I really don't want it. Like, I am a victor in my life. I am not a victim, but I remember there was a night when I was out with my friends and drugs were going around and I was so blackout. I got into this limo with 10 guys that I had no idea like who they were at all. That was like typical Kirst, just like center of attention. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump in this limo. I don't know who's in there. I don't care about, like, it was just so dangerous. And I woke up, literally must have just completely blacked out. No idea what happened. I could have got drugged. I have no idea. And I was on the couch with this guy beside me and I had like penises drawn all over my face. And this guy was like on top of me and I woke up and I had a panic attack. I was hyperventilating. I was screaming. I was crying. And every guy in the room, because there was like 8 of them, just fucking okay with me being there passed out. Like what the fuck? And I just like breathing, ran out. I was like, I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. Like, it was so terrifying. So terrifying. But like, and I'm the same way with my daughter. I'm like, and I'll told her that I was unfaithful to her dad. I've told her everything. I never want her to look at me for anything other than like what I truly am and what I've done. And I'm not what I've done because I've overcome that and I've worked on that. I've made sure that I'm showing up as a person that I respect first. But that just like, that happens all the time. And I feel like we have to take responsibility for the states that we get ourselves into. Because that night, I took more shots than I can imagine. I remember jumping into a limo because I wanted to be the life of the party. Look at me, I'm just going to jump in this random limo. All my friends, right? So like, if I don't accept full responsibility, then I'm going to come here and I'm going to come on this show and I'm going to ask for sympathy. I'm like, please, like, feel bad for me, but I want to be the person who wins at my life. I want to be the victor, not the victim. And so the reason why I will never get myself to a place like that again is because I refuse to be that girl who doesn't have the power to say no. Like, fuck off, you piece of shit. Like, you touch me, I will literally fucking kill you now. Like, stay away. I will not allow that to happen. And that's just like, that's who I am, but it's not who I was.
But to your point though, if you don't get in the limo, if you don't have the shots, then you never have to worry about being put in that position, right? No. And I think that we need to teach that more, especially to young women, because like I said, when I wake up and I don't know where the fuck I am, I get to tell a cool story, right? I get to tell a cool story. Be like, I woke up in a yard in Kansas sleeping with a tequila bottle. Like, I didn't know where the fuck I was. I went to a football game and like 18 hours later, I woke up in a yard and I didn't know. And back then we didn't have cell phones. Like, maybe a flip phone, but it was dead by that point. Like, you don't know anybody's phone number. I'm like, I got to go find a pay phone. I didn't know where the fuck we were staying. And I woke up, I'm like, I wasn't worried about what happened to me. If I'm a female in that same situation, who fucking knows?
Completely different.
Right. And I think we do need to talk. Well, I say people like you need to talk about it more because I can't, because if I do, I sound like I am blaming or I am shaming. Right. And I'm not. Right. I just want people to be more aware of things, because if we don't put ourselves in that position, then the things can't happen to us.
Yeah. And I think that's why I almost haven't really, I have talked about those moments on social media, but I think everyone's stories are different. So there has been females, loads and millions probably across the world that haven't drank, that didn't do the drugs, and something still happened, right? Something.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So for me, it's like my story is my story. And any incident that I've ever been in had always been after I'd made decisions that affected my ability to control the choices that I made. Some females, that's not their story, right? And
Sure.
it's just about making sure that I come at it from the most respectful way possible, because I think
100%.
one of the most, and I'm sure that you'll say the same, like one of the biggest things that has helped me get to a place where I feel like I am confident and I do feel good is just radical responsibility. And this is what one of my mentors said to me the other day: radical responsibility in all areas of my life. Like, I used to blame Haley's dad for me cheating on him. Like, well, he didn't show me affection and he was smoking a lot of weed and he wasn't responsible, and that's why I cheated. And it's like, no, Kirsten, you cheated because you cheated. You could have left. Like, radical responsibility in all areas of your life will change the fucking game, period.
I mean, I assume you've read it, but like my life changed when I read Extreme Ownership, right?
I haven't read it.
Get the fuck out of here. You haven't read that book?
Nope.
That's like saying you haven't seen
and I've read
Godfather.
all the
Holy shit.
I gotta write that down. Extreme Ownership.
Yeah, it's a Jocko book.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna get that right away. I love reading. I read everything.
That book changed my life, and I make everybody that comes into my company read that book. Everybody.
Good.
Nobody is allowed to work here unless they read that book, because the entire book is exactly about what you're talking about. And then it's all put into like military and, all that kind of stuff and how it translates and whatever. But then they go from military to business and life, and then how it translates into that, as well, and how he consults with, like large Fortune 500 companies and blah, blah, blah. But like amazing, amazing book. If you haven't read it, people listening, obviously I know you haven't. Back to have you seen The Godfather?
Nope.
Oh my God, you're that girl.
Dude, but 1 second, I'm not good with names. If you like put a preview on for me, I might have seen it. But like when it comes to names and when it comes to movies, I'm a very visual person, visual person. So
okay. Well, I'll let you off the hook on that one as long as you read Extreme Ownership. So I would recommend reading Extreme Ownership and then go ask your husband if he wants to watch a Godfather with you, because the answer will be yes. That's the best movie.
Deal.
It's the best.
I'm writing it.
Yeah, best movie. One of the best movies ever made. It's like my password in all of my things of what is your favorite movie? The Godfather.
The Godfather.
It's got Marlon Brando in it, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino back in the late 70s.
My husband will love this. I'm going to write that down. Wow, some good nuggets here. I also feel like I'm going to get a book that I expect my entire team to read, because we have core values. Everyone on my team has to work out. I've almost let people go when I'm like, you got to lose weight, bro. Like, we're a health and fitness company. You got to lose weight. And that's people are so soft when it comes to using the word fat. Nobody will just oh, that's fat shaming. And it's if you have some weight on you, if you are actually overweight and you are afraid to say it, that's the problem. Radical responsibility is looking at yourself in the mirror and being little bit fat, gotta fucking make some changes. Period.
Yeah. Are you doing anything about it? I got called out the other day. I was on somebody else's podcast, and we were kind of talking about something like this. And we were talking about responsibility, and we were talking about fitness, and just the fact that that's very important to me. Because if I don't have my morning routine of my workout at 8 o'clock till 9:30, my phone's off. Everybody in my company knows you cannot fucking reach me from 7 a.m. until 9:30, 10 o'clock. You can't. That's what I'm doing. That's it. Yeah. And in this clip, I just randomly was and I don't want a bunch of fat motherfuckers working at my office. And so that clip got fucking isolated, and his editing team clipped it and sent it to him. His name's Joseph. And he died laughing because he sent me the clip, and there was a little screenshot of it, and his editor, and was I just wanted you to know that Eric said he wouldn't hire fat motherfuckers in his company. Do you want to run with that? He was yes.
Oh my gosh. It's just people are too soft, man. People are too soft.
Because it's not about that you're a fat motherfucker, right? I don't care about that. It's the fact that you don't care. It's the fact that you don't care about
exactly. Are you doing something about your situation? I work with many clients that are very overweight, and I adore them. I think they are some of the most amazing people that I've ever met, and they are fucking working every single day to be better. And if you are doing that, you have earned my respect, period. But
that's all it is.
Yes, that's all it is, plain and simple. It's easy. And I think that it should be a standard that everyone's just working on themselves, because there'd be a lot less chaos in this fucking world if that was a if that was a rule.
Are you doing something every day to be better? Right? Are you doing something every day to be better? And if you're not, then you need to look inside and figure out why the fuck that is. So, okay, I've kept you long enough here. The way that we wrap up all of these episodes is I always know that I'm fucking dumb and old. So like, I always forget something, or we go through the episode and like I veer off because I see fucking squirrels all the time and we go down a rabbit hole and whatever. But I always want to give the floor back to the guests for the last couple of minutes to either expand on something that I didn't and we left the subject, or that you came in with like, I really hope I get to talk about this because I want people to be left with this thing. So I want to always give the floor back to the guests to be able to do that.
Cool. Well, okay, a couple of things. You're not dumb and old. Just do what I do. I don't identify with age. I never, ever put in the year of birth ever. So just fucking don't identify with it. It's 2023. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I came into this podcast with zero expectations. I'm just always, I'm always glad to be able to, I'm always glad, excited, and ready to just be able to come on and speak my truth and like wherever that goes. So I just hope that if you're listening to this, that you got some sort of value and there's something that you can take from this and implement into your life today. So I'm just grateful. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I like spreading the fucking love, baby.
I love it. I have never jumped through so many hoops to get in touch with somebody, and I am so grateful. Honest to God, and I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I did because this has been one of the best conversations that we've had on here. It was even virtual, which usually I'm afraid that they're not going to be as good. And this was, I really feel like I know you better. Hopefully people watching and listening feel like they know you better. I know I told you that in the beginning, like the purpose of these is like, I did these selfishly when I started it because I just wanted an opportunity to be able to sit down with people and get to know who they are. Because we live in such a microwave society of walking by somebody being like, hey, how you doing? Good. Kids good? Yeah. Cool. I'll see you next time. Right. And you just keep fucking walking, and nobody actually sits down, has a conversation, gets to know each other a little bit better, forms some kind of a connection, with people, so that like the next time you come to Houston, I expect a phone call, right? Be like, hey, I'm fucking in Houston. I got a little bit of time this time. Let's get the families together and go have dinner, right? Because we got to spend 45 minutes together actually getting to know each other a little bit better. And I think that the world is missing that. And so that was like one of the selfish reasons. Yep. And that was one of the reasons that I really started this show. And so I appreciate the fact that you took the time to be here. It's been amazing. And I'm just really glad to get to know you and hopefully call you a friend. So thank you very much. All right, so we'll finish this up with, again, no fucking sponsors. Zyn, for all your nicotine needs. Nicotine, it's good for you. It fucking stimulates. And if you got anything out of this, also remember, no fucking sponsors. I pay for this shit. Cost of admission, share it. Get it the fuck out in the world, because people need to hear what Kirsten's saying. Maybe they got one thing from me, but I bet they got 175 things from her. So make sure that you get this. You
don't give yourself enough credit. You don't give yourself enough credit.
It's the drunk in me. I'm taught to be humble. So but I appreciate you. Please share this, everybody, and remember, everybody, be authentic. Or get the fuck out.
Be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah.